Today is Friday, November 20th. My name is Erin Rumley, and this is the AES Daily Performance. So, the first thing before we jump into the actual performance for today, updating our personal trading plan and our forecast, is I just want to look at price action for today. So, what we do is we track our AES signals all day long. That's these signals here, these highlights, these red and these bluish green highlights that have the T plus, C, T, M on them, where C is consensus, M is momentum, T is trend bias, and a T plus is a trend bias continuation trade. And so up until this current bar, we actually hadn't broken the low since market open. So here's 9:30 Eastern time. So the regular market session. We ended up selling off, hitting this low at 11,946, then moving up to the high of 12,015 and a quarter, and that was at 1110. And from that point on, we have stayed between that high and the low that were essentially established within first hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half of the market, until just now when we broke below that low, that 11,946 low on this current bar. So for the majority of the day, we ended up essentially sideways. You can see that there's cycles in here as we cycle up, cycle down, but really not making much progress. Our upper fractals, and a fractal is either the highest high or the lowest low of a 5-bar series where it has to be the middle bar. So our fractals are identified by these green and these red V's. So even the fractals were very similar in height to each other, the upper fractals being at 97.5, then 98.75, and then 97.75. That's a little unusual for the day. Our lower fractals were similar as well, 66.75, 70.5, and then 75.5. Usually we see a little bit more difference between the fractals throughout the day. They'll start to grow, or for the lower fractals, we'll see them continue to move lower. But we essentially traded in this sideways pattern throughout the majority of the market day. Most of our price action happened right at market open till about, I would say about 11:30 is when we started to get into more of this sideways action. And even though some of these price bars looked large, for example, I know we talked about this one during our live trading room, this 1440 bar, normally we would expect it, based on how it appeared, to be about a 40-point bar, and it was a 19-point bar, which is rather small for the type of price movement that we can see from NQ. So let's move on to performance for today. So I know a lot of people like to look at the individual trade logs. So first trade for the 7 o'clock start time was the long consensus. And then here's all the trades we stopped at. We actually stopped at 1510 at 310 when the fractal trade that was opened up at 241 finally closed. So because of how long we ended up holding some of these trades today, that was a 30-minute hold there. Because of that, we just decided to close. It was, we hadn't had a new signal since 2:45. And just to avoid the chance of getting a signal at 3:20 that then we're holding all the way to 4 o'clock, decided to call it quits for today. And even with us being in that sideways range for the majority of the day, performance is actually very profitable today. We'll go over to the daily summary. It makes it a little bit easier to compare side by side. So 7 to 4, if you traded every signal from 7 to 4, it was 61.5 points today. So nice amount of profit, especially for a Friday. Now, if you did 7 to 4, only the trend bias signals, so trend bias and continuation of the trend signals, that was 34.5 points. And then 9:30 to noon was basically close to a break even. We closed up 1.5 points. Now, I have this other column customized a little bit to 9:30 to 11:30 because as I was running the live trading room today, and as we were having back-to-back profits this morning, I was beating the table that if you're trading and you have profits and you're close to your goal for the day, consider stop trading, or consider once you have a profit on the trade to look to lock in a break even or a smaller profit instead of waiting for that 5 points. Because this morning, um, even before 9:30, when I started calling out signals in the live trading room around 9 o'clock, you can just see we had these back-to-back trades. There's fractals in there too. That's not included in that 9:30 to 11:30. So that's actually showing you a little bit of a smaller number than what it could possibly be. But what I want to highlight here is, as I was saying in the room, compare where your profits are, plug them into your personal trading plan. 28.25 is actually above our average points for 9:30 to noon. So this should give you a little bit of, do I want to keep trading? What is the market conditions looking like? Do I want to start to lock in break even? Now, if you didn't take any of my recommendations and kept trading, you ended up positive for the day, but you ended up giving back a lot of your profits, ending up positive $1.50 if you traded all the way till noon instead of stopping at around 11:30 instead. So just always a good idea. And we especially say this on Fridays because there's nothing worse than going and starting your weekend with giving back profits or ending up negative when you were profitable earlier. So we like to call it Keep Your Profits Friday, where you just need to be a little bit more aware of where you are for the day and plugging that into your personal trading plan, because it's always a wonderful way to start the weekend with ending your week with profits. So if you did keep trading, you ended up still positive, but only 1.5 points, which is what we'll plug into our personal trading plan. But real world situation, I would assume you would stop somewhere around the 11:30 mark, even if you took that trade after 11:30 that ended up giving back. Maybe that was then your point. You're like, okay, I lost 11.5 points on this trade, still up a little bit for the day, so I'll stop here. So that's always a good approach to trading. Evaluating where you are for the day, plugging it into your personal trading plan, even if you are a little bit short of your goal, especially on a Friday, plug it into your trading plan, see how much it really does affect your overall 12-month forecast. Generally, it's a very minimal long-term effect there. So always something to consider. And now we'll go to our personal trading plan, which we encourage you to fill out at the end of every market day. And so we're filling it out here also in real time. And so the first category we'll do is the 9:30 to noon all signals. So 9:30 to noon all signals. I'll go over to record our trades. So as I mentioned, we ended up 1.5 points. Each point on NQ is worth $20. We are currently trading 3 contracts at a time. That's how we have been scaled up to. You can see we started with 1 contract, never trading more than 10% of the balance, and the personal trading plan scaled us up to 3 contracts, and that's what we have as our max. So we'll not trade more than 3 contracts unless we change the max here. So again, it is 1.5 points for today, $20 a point, and then times 3 contracts is $90 a profit today. And then we had 9 trades, but again, we're trading 3 contracts, so that's a total of 27 contracts. So after commissions and fees, we're down a little bit on our net amount. So just down about $18. It ends up being a losing day today because of commissions and fees. Again, if you had stopped earlier, around 11:30, then you would have had a profit today. So it's always things to keep in mind. You can always plug into your trading plan throughout the market day to evaluate how that affects your 12-month forecast. If you decide to stop maybe a little bit short of your goal, you can always evaluate where that is for your 12-month forecast. So plugging this in today, it changes our numbers a little bit. So our average profit, now this is not a straight average, it's weighted based on how many losing days we've had versus how many weeks we've been trading for, since our trading plan allocates one losing day a week. So we weight this to then reflect that one losing day a week average. So with that being said, 24.58, 24.58 we'll put in for our profitable days. And then this number actually went down. So our losing days are 33.28. And you can see it didn't affect our 12-month forecast that much here. So now we're at $194,716. Keeping in mind, we've started with a $5,000 account. Trading 9:30 to noon, all signals currently has grown the account from $5,000 to over 69, almost $70,000 in just 20 weeks. So continuing on with our projection, a little bit of a loss today. Again, if you just continue to trade to noon, if you didn't stop once you got close to your goal. But still, overall performance, again, we've taken a $5,000 account to an almost $70,000 account in 20 weeks. And we're still not halfway done with the 12-month forecast. So right now, 12-month forecast says 194,716 is how much the account is forecasted to be in 12 months. That will change a little bit as we continue to trade and as we continue to adjust our averages and project out for our 12 months. And then the other category that we track here is a 7 to 4 trend bias and continuation trades only. So just like the other account that we're tracking, we started with a $5,000 account. We only trade 10% of the balance at most. So we've scaled from one contract all the way up to 3 contracts. 3 contracts is what we have listed as our max. So we won't trade more than 3 contracts as long as that's our max. And then, so right now, 12-month forecast is 298, a little over 298. Today we did 34.5 points. Again, $20 per point on NQ and 3 contracts. So we did $2,070. We had 16 trades today, again on 3 contracts, so that's 48 total contracts. And then we'll look at our average here. It really did not change too much. So our profit went up a little bit, 33.07. And our losing day went down a little bit, negative 33.57. And so you can see the 12-month forecast went up slightly by about $1,000, but in the grand scheme of things, that's really not that much. So taking a look here, we are still projected, we're very close to $300,000. So it really hasn't adjusted our forecast too much. That's the point we've kind of gotten on both of these categories that we track, is that the longer that we trade and the more that we have for our averages, the less that they're changing. These 2 numbers didn't change that much today. We are very close to what our goal was for the day as well. And so we're just going to continue to track, continue to see where the 12-month forecast is. We started with the $5,000 account. After 20 weeks, we're up to $110,000, a profit on, or the balance size. So it's $105,000 of profit. So our balance is now $110,000, and we're forecast to be very close to $300,000 at the end of 12 months. This is, again, never trading more than 10% of the balance. This is the same exact account, same exact signals that we talked about. Was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago, where unfortunately, every single day of that week ended up being a losing day. There were profits throughout the day, but if you traded just all the signals and didn't stop, it ended up being a losing day. But that's going to happen. And even with that, our averages really speak for themselves. This week was definitely better. Last 2 days had some nice performance. The week prior had some nice performance here too. But we're factoring all this into our overall average. And I think that can be shown really clearly with the fact that our numbers, our averages, aren't changing that much. Our 12-month forecast isn't changing that much as we continue to plug into our personal trading plan, our daily performance for each day. So again, both of these that we're tracking started with a $5,000 account. They're already up significantly, this one being now to $110,000 balance and this one being to a $69,000 balance. And this category, the LTR all, is the 9:30 to noon, so a little bit more limited trading. The other account, which has grown a little bit of a larger balance, is the course for a more dedicated trader who's trading essentially all day from 7 to 4. Of course, there are in between times that you can trade. These are just the two that we're tracking in our personal trading plan. We keep track of a variety of ways to trade, a variety of time frames as well. We keep track of what happens if you add fractals. There we go, fractals, and you trade from 9:30 to noon. Oh, that's 12 a.m. Let's try this again. So from 9:30 to noon, if you're trading all signals and fractals, it's about $501 a day. If you're trading just the AES signals, same exact time frame, you're about $373 a day. So some people like to add fractals, adding a little bit more of profit to their days. That's always an option there as well. So we have a variety of signals and a variety of timeframes that we track. All signals, trading every signal from 7 to 4 is the best performing at around little over $1,100 at an almost 74% win rate. So that's an average of $1,100 per day. We can look at that same exact time frame using this automation here and take a look at what it would be with fractals. You can see it's about $1,400 a day, so it adds a little bit. So part of the benefit of being in the live trading room is that we help you identify those fractal trades, help you manage the trades as well, especially ones where you're not sure if you want to continue to hold. We'll help you identify places to adjust your stop to, or what action we're taking in our account if you're looking for something to follow, or looking for advice on how to adjust your personal position that you're in. But overall, pretty good day today, despite the fact that we were just in this terrible sideways range for most of the day. Ended up having a little bit of a sell-off here, but the majority of the day we were stuck between the low that we created at 9:55 and the high that we created at 11:10, not really growing from there and not really moving lower up until right around 3:15. We started to see a little bit of that push lower. And so I know I called it off a little bit early here, but it looks like a signal came on. Do we have anyone before that? Right at 3:30, and we did move down enough, more than enough to take 5 points. I actually moved down over 10 points on that one, so missed out on that signal, but that's fine. It only would have affected the tracking that we do for our trend bias signals, the 7 to 4 trend bias and continuation. So really, I'm not going to add this, but really for today, we would have seen at least 5 more points added to this, so about 39.5 points of profit if you had decided to continue to trade. I decided not to, especially with the type of market that we were in. I don't regret that decision, even hindsight looking back. Still, it was a very good day today, despite the type of sideways movement we had, still some nice follow through. Let's see, 7 to 12 today. Jeremy's asking how does 7 to 12 do? Was up 31.5 points today. All right, and that will be it. So have a wonderful weekend, everyone. As just a heads up, we will not have an AES review next week on Thursday or Friday because Thursday is Thanksgiving. Markets will be closed, so we will not be trading. And then Friday, we will not be open. Options Moneymaker will not be open that day. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back on Monday.